Yuliana, this is so exciting to meet with you again. I know the first time we met, I had such a great time getting to know you. I just find you to be an amazing young woman. You're a junior at ASU.
Yes.
And one of your favorite things to do right now is to be a leader with Young Life. And you're at Chandler High with the students there.
Mm-hmm.
I see you bring them to church sometimes. It's so fun to see you with them. But I also know that you had some challenges growing up. And how did you deal with those times when you were alone and you had to find your own way?
Kind of to be a little transparent, even now I still struggle with it sometimes. But because since I didn't grow up around much family, since both of my parents, they're from different places, my dad's from Peru and then my mom's from Mexico.
I didn't know that.
So they have their families over there, and so being here, it was just my parents and I. And so when my parents divorced,
How old were you?
I was 13.
Okay.
Yeah, 12, 13. And when my parents split, it was hard because my dad kind of pushed himself away, and so it just became my mom and I. And so it was like you said, it was lonely because she had to work so much. And she was never really around, even though I know she wanted to be around, but she had to do what she had to do to provide. And so I would say I didn't deal with it in a healthy way at the time. I would isolate myself on purpose. I didn't really see the meaning of doing anything, so I would just stay at home. But now, after going into college and kind of really finding a good community and here at church, I have people now who take me out of that and are they know that there's a pattern sometimes in my life where there are moments where I do still feel a little lonely. And so I have friends now that kind of take me out of that and are just come with us here, do this with us here. And when I get texts being hey, we miss you, I know those are the things that really just remind me of God's goodness and the way that God gives you people to lean on.
So did somebody instigate that, or did you just one day you're sitting and thinking, I've got to create a family for myself? How did that happen?
When my parents had just divorced, actually, they were in the process of it. My youth pastor at the time, Pastor Brent, there was this one night, I remember it so was my mom had just had this breakdown, and I walked in on her just having this breakdown, and it was a Wednesday youth night, and I was because my parents had thrown the word divorce around a lot, so it was very natural to be they're gonna be okay in 2 weeks, but this was going on for longer. And so I went to youth group that night kind of feeling a little down, and my mom had so much regret because she didn't want me to see her like that, and so she talked to Pastor Brent that night, and he kind of took me out at the end and kind of was so I heard this is happening. Why haven't you told anyone? Why haven't you leaned on us? Why haven't you, And so he kind of told me this is something that you can't go through alone. And obviously I know it's a little harder since you don't have family around, but you don't get to you get to choose who your family is. It's not all on you. And so I've kind of just had that motto with me ever since. I get to choose who my family is. Family isn't blood, sort of thing. And so even at times when I don't have, when I remember oh, I don't have family really here, I can't really lean on someone who's a family friend because they have their own separate families to deal with, and I don't want to burden them with that. But then I remember what he told me, and I take it with me. My relationship with my dad is what has caused me a lot of fear throughout my life. Because like it always comes back to like, okay, like I'm a Christian, I love God, so I'm supposed to have a good relationship with both my parents and, you know, not be mad at my parents, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of hard to not be mad at my dad for just feeling in a way abandoned by him. Like it's hard to kind of just forget about that. And it's something that I've like struggled with, and especially like because my freshman year, I would say, is when my freshman year of college is when I would say like I started like becoming like a follower of God and started like giving my life to God. And I remember that year, I kind of had made this decision. I was like, you know, like I'm just not gonna, I don't want my dad in my life anymore. I don't want him like near me. I don't want him like in it. I don't want him in my future. Like I kind of had just like made that decision.
Shut the door.
Yes, and I was like, I'm done with it. Like I'm gonna clean my hands and leave that. But God has his mysterious ways of working, because my freshman year I went on this mission trip to Mexico. Yeah, and it was kind of like, I was new to Young Life at the time. It was with ASU Young Life that I went on the mission trip with. And I was new, like I was really nervous, like I didn't know anyone on the trip, but like I wanted to go because I was like, you know, it's Mexico, I speak Spanish, it'll be fun, you know. And it ended up being amazing because I came back from that trip being like a completely different person, because that trip gave me an opportunity to listen to one of the families that we were building their house. Like we listened to their story, and her story was different than mine, but I related to it a lot because it was a grandma living with her grandchildren. She would push her grandchild to go visit her dad in prison, despite her dad had killing her mom. And so, yeah, I heard that and I was like, you know, like, even after that, like, you still want your grandchild to go near her dad? Like, how could you, like, just, like, do that? And I was talking with her, and she said, why would I want my grandchild to grow up with hatred in her heart if it's not going to get her anywhere? And I, like, took that home with me, and I was like, am I just shutting a door with my dad, or am I actually healing? And I realized that I wasn't healing.
Were you able to forgive, or is it still an ongoing process for you?
Yeah, I would say it's still an ongoing process for me. Like, a lot of my kids, like, they also don't have a parent in their life. And it's mostly, like, that father figure that they don't have. And it's really cool because I get to be like, I understand you, you know? And, like, even now, like, I still struggle with it, but I know, like, God has his hand over that.
What is the best thing going on in your life right now? I think I know the answer to that.
Yeah. Yeah, Chandler Young Life is the best thing going on right now. It was because of this church that I heard of it. It was from a family that told me about it. They're like, you want to find community? Like, go there. And then I got a tour, and they said the same thing. Like, if you want community at ASU, go to Young Life. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I didn't really like it at first because I was very hesitant. I mean, I wasn't strong in my faith at the time as well, but I was like, you know, how are these people going to, like, benefit me? How is this going to help? It ended up helping me a lot. God really was like, don't judge a book by its cover. I did that, and he said, that's wrong. Because I went on a mission trip, found my people, found my best friends. And then during that summer of going into my sophomore year of college, I did this thing called summer staff at a camp, which is like working at a camp. And it was, that's where I met my area director now, which I've known him for a long time because he used to go to this church when my parents were divorcing, actually, around that time.
Okay.
And then I saw him, I was like, oh, like, hey, like, long time no see. And then he was like, we need leaders for Chandler. Like, are you down? I was like, I'm here for another, like, you know, month, you know, I don't know, you know. And so at the time I had another plan for my life. Like I wanted to lead at ASU for college, but God really was like, no, high school is your place. And it is, because I'm so happy and fortunate to be where I am, because it just brings me a lot of joy. And high schoolers are fun. I understand Hannah and David when they're like, yeah, youth ministry is very fun, because it brings a lot of joy. Yeah.
And so now you're taking some of the struggles from your childhood,
Yeah.
from your past, and God is using them.
Yeah.
So it didn't go wasted.
Mm-mm.
Some of your hard times didn't go wasted.
Yeah.
They are now being used with young people that you're mentoring, and I'll bet you never saw yourself doing that. Never.
No, and it's actually something that I would always like ask myself whenever like I was going through those hard times, like, you know, God, like, why me? Or like, why is this happening? You know, and you don't really see it until later, and I'm seeing it now.